Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Joycel Sapline again. I promised a couple of people that I was gonna bring a special guest on the show to explain to you how to change trust in UK. So today I have that person with me and I would introduce him shortly. But before that, please comment, like and subscribe to this channel. So this is my special guest and I'll leave him to introduce himself and tell you guys how we met.
Right, my name is William Benin. You can call me Bill. I'm a registered nurse from Ghana. I've been working in the UK for a couple of years now. Now, how did we meet?
I don't know. I think
the nurses page.
Yeah, I think Ghana Nurses in UK page. That's
yeah.
where we met. Yeah,
and we've been good friends since.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you, Joyce.
Nice meeting you, Bill. We're getting into it, and before that, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. All right. So, which trust brought you to this country?
So the trust is Surrey and Success NHS, but the hospital I was working for was East Surrey Hospital down south in Red Hill. Okay. I came to the UK in 2019. I worked there from February 2019 to January 2021.
Right.
However, in early 20, when did COVID start?
I think early 2020. Yeah.
Right. So in between that, I was redeployed to work in the ICU.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you ITU trained before?
No. So when COVID started, there was an influx of cases and patients,
right,
and there was the high demand for ICU beds and ICU staff.
Yeah.
So the only thing the trust or the last resort was to get some skilled mechs trained and non-ITU trained and blend them to be able to care for the patient. So unfortunately, I was part of the selected few nurses to work in ICU. I loved it though. My time in East Surrey Hospital was lovely. My team down south, brilliant, good teamwork, good spirited people, nice ward, nice staff, nice management.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my time in East Surrey
that's
Hospital.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, so let's look into this one. So you went to Surrey and Sussex. I used to say Surrey.
Yeah, I think we all did.
Yeah.
But the first time I had the contract, I pronounced it Surrey, and then the lady on the phone, no, it's Surrey.
Yeah, I used to say that name, but I was corrected by a friend. So, how long did you spend in Surrey and Sussex?
So February 2019 to January 2021. So I left at the end of January.
Yeah. So that's like approximately 2 years of being in the trust.
I left. So the whole thing is what my contract ended on 30th January 2021. So 2 years, give and take, 2 years.
So your contract was a 2-year contract?
No, my contract was 3 years contract. It
okay.
was a 3-year contract.
So when you decided to leave, which trust are you with now?
I'm currently working at Blackburn Hospital, Royal Blackburn Hospital in Blackburn, up north. So
let's look at this from south all the way to up north.
I know.
Like, what about 150 miles?
Oh, it's 250 miles.
Oh my God. What? So, did you have to pay anything to your trust? Like, could you tell us how your whole resignation went? What went into it? Because I think I heard we are on a visa and you have to cancel that contract and everything. Yeah. And could you tell us into details how that resignation went and how long you had for that course and how you have to get onto the new course? Yeah.
Right. So with changing trust, especially with the NHS, there are a lot of things that go into play. Okay. So for instance, when you get your contract, some trust or some contract or some NHS would say, if you leave before 3 months of your contract, you're going to pay the cost of accommodation or maybe the cost of flight or maybe the cost of certain maintenances. Yeah. However, when I was leaving, because I spent 2 years, I didn't pay anything.
Oh, good.
But like I said, some trusts, however, will state if you leave before 3 months, pay it. If you leave before 1 year, pay it. So it will be very important for people to read their contract and know what the contract stipulates, because you don't want to breach your contract and then now you realize this is the cost I'm going to incur after breaching my contract. I was lucky enough to have stayed for 2 years, so I didn't pay anything. I had friends. So in my trust, what they used to do was they recruited in cohorts. So in my cohort, we had about 23 international nurses. Yeah.
Wow.
So in this instance, all 23 people, we had to go through the OSCE training.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing about recruiting international nurses in cohort, because you're able to blend with Nigerians, Philippines, Indians. So we had this group of friends, and we have this cohort. I had 2 or 3 people in my cohort who left before 6 months, and the only thing they were asked to pay was their cost of accommodation, which at that time was, if I'm not mistaken, was about £300 to £400. I think. I might be wrong. So it depends on what the contract states, and depending on what time you are likely to leave before the end of your contract. That is when costs are incurred. However, it's the NHS, so there are times, most of the time, people don't end up paying anything. It's a good place to work, and it's a good trust for international nurses, because you learn a lot. They really invest in international nurses.
Oh, that's good.
Really
That's good. Now let's look at you terminating your contract and when your course ends. How long you have to stay in UK, and when you have to get a new contract to get a new course.
Right. So the period of notice for resignation is 8 weeks.
8 weeks?
Yeah. I had to give 8 weeks notice for my resignation. So what I did was I put in my notice somewhere in November.
Yeah.
And I was a bit cheeky with that, because when I put in my notice, I had a bit of annual leave.
Okay.
So my manager had wanted me. So my manager had asked me, do I want to still work during my annual leave, or do I want to accumulate my annual leave as salary so they'll pay me?
Okay.
But then I had wanted to leave, so what I did was I added my annual leave as part of my resignation period. So so I put in my notice in November, and then I left in January. So in between that 8 weeks, I had already applied for them. I'd already had my course.
Okay.
Now this is something other international nurses need to know. If you are resigning to go to a new trust and you have your COS, you need to check with your new employer if you can work with your COS, because there are some employers or there are some HR personnel, irrespective of you having your COS, they'll still want you to have your visa approved before you work.
Right.
Because I had one friend who had contacted me recently. He was moving from trust. He had already put in his notice, resigned, or he's put in his notice, and then his resignation date was due.
Yeah.
However, even though he had his COS, the new employer wasn't willing for him to start work because his visa had not been approved. He didn't have a new BRP card. So in between that, he has to get something to do, and that's a bit frustrating. Yeah. So you need to check with your new employer if you can start work immediately with your COS,
right,
even though you've not had your visa approved, you've not had your new BRP. So like I said, I'm talking to Madam Tai.
No, I love that. Like it's very detailed.
So yeah, I gave 8 weeks notice, and in between that, I'd already had my COS, and I was just waiting for my visa appointment, and it was during COVID. So it was an extended 14-week wait.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to wait for like 14, close to 14 weeks. Other people said their waiting time was shorter, but I don't know why because it was maybe because my appointment venue was in London.
Right.
So
right.
everything was too tight for me. So I had to wait 14 weeks. However, I was lucky. My employer wanted me to start with my COS.
Good.
So I didn't have to wait for my new visa. I didn't have to wait for my new BRP. So I started.
Oh wow, that's good. That's quite impressive. So it basically means you have to resign, but before that you have to make sure you've got another trust who's giving you a course.
Yes. Without course, you can't apply for a visa.
That's fine. All right, that's good. Right. So with what you've been through, your experience with changing trust, if you were to do it all over again, what are some of the things you will not do, and what are some of the things that you will do? Right.
Okay. So before I answer that question, now my main reason, my topmost reason, or my triggering factors for me to have changed trust was because it was expensive to live down south.
Yeah.
That was the main reason I decided to leave the trust. Don't get me wrong, I still like my old trust. It's a good place. And I won't speak foul of East Surrey Hospital. It's a good place. What would I do differently? Maybe I'll be a little more patient with them.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I'll be a little more patient, or perhaps, I don't know, maybe patience. Yeah, maybe patience. Fine. Yeah. People say I'm a bit spontaneous when it comes to decision making, but maybe I'll just take my time and weigh the options. Is this my last resort? Is this my only option, or I'll be better exploring other options. So yeah, the next now, if I had to do something different, I'll explore other options and other alternatives.
Right. You did mention that rent was quite expensive down south. So how much were you paying?
Oh, you don't want to know, do you?
I do, because we just want to compare, Michelle.
Oh, that's a lot. So I was living in a 2-bedroom flat.
Yeah.
And then, but it was, so I rented a flat in May 2019. Do you want to guess?
750
for 2-bedroom flat.
Yeah.
You joking?
I mean, something you can get in Manchester.
Well, that's Manchester. £1,200.
What?
Yeah.
Furnished?
No.
My God, that's expensive.
Yeah, £1,200. But the good thing was, in as much, so that's just the rent, no bills inclusive.
Oh my God, nah.
Yeah, that's just rent alone, no bills inclusive. So £1,200 for just the rent. Council
that wasn't then.
In 2019. Yeah.
Wow.
In 2019, £200 for just rent. Council tax was, I think, £120 a month. I think between £120 to £150.
Yeah.
Electricity. I was with Eon. Electricity at that time was £96 per month.
Wow.
And water. What was my water supply right then? I think the only water was like £35.
I thought I heard water was free down south.
I think it's only in Northern Ireland water is free.
Oh, is it?
You pay for everything in down south, even parking. You pay for everything in down south.
So, like, you at the end of the month, you would have paid, let's say, about 1,400.
That would be relative. So, I was living so I had to get a flatmate.
Yeah.
So at the end of the month, my portion or my quota of the bill of everything, rent and bills inclusive, was close to £750 to £800.
That's still expensive, nah.
So like I said, that was the triggering factor. Because the reason why I decided to move now was I realized the same money I was earning in the NHS is the same money people
exactly
up north were earning, and their rent and bills were kind of lower than. So I thought, like, why not make this move?
Exactly.
Because the whole point is to save and get a little bit of something for myself. So, like I said, otherwise, if rent and everything was okay down south, I wouldn't have moved.
Yeah. And how much are you paying here?
Oh, I live in a 1-bedroom flat here. Yeah. You wanna guess how much I pay? Let's see if you're good at guessing.
Blackburn is behind Manchester, so I'd say about £650.
Right. So when I moved there in 2019, it's gonna shock you. When I moved here in 2019, my rent, just rent alone, was £395 a month.
What?
Yeah, just £395.
Oh my God, I need to come here. Honestly, because I'm paying £650 for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Just the rent.
Yes.
Oh, you live in Manchester.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. Yeah. So it's £395, but obviously with high cost of inflation, with increased prices, I'm paying £450 now.
I mean, that's nothing. £450 is nothing.
I'm paying £450. Yeah,
wow,
I'm paying £450.
Wow. And I love your apartment.
Oh, honestly,
thank you.
Yeah, honestly. Thanks.
Wow.